Hello friends, good to be with you as always. I hope this finds you well. We're recording this early in the week of September 14th, which means the US Open tennis tournament just concluded. I don't know if any of you are tennis fans, but my wife Amy and I always love to watch, especially the major tournaments every year. This year, of course, has been a little changed because of COVID, but the US Open, I believe, was the largest spectator event in all of sports up to this point. They didn't have actually live audiences there, but largest event in terms of worldwide viewership on television. For those of you who are tennis fans, you'll know there were a number of exciting things that happened. Some good, some bad. Novak Djokovic was ejected or suspended from the tournament through a accident kind of hitting a linesperson with a ball, which meant that the draw was opened up for someone who had not won a major for more than a decade to finally win a major. The women's final between Naomi Osaka and Victoria Azarenka, sorry Victoria, I forgot your name for a second, was a very exciting final that went 3 sets. But it was the men's final that led me to a couple of reflections that I want to share with you today. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but often my wife Amy and I will tape a sporting event, in this case again tennis, because we'll want to watch it later in the evening. This one was aired at 3 afternoon Central Time. So we taped it, and when we finally started watching it, we got to the end of the tape and the event wasn't done yet because we hadn't added that extension, the live extension for a live sporting event. And we were just committed to watching it and not finding out the result, and we were able to avoid that on our phones and so forth. But that meant we had to stay up really late, way later than we typically do, to watch it play out on the tennis channel, which we did. And if you watched it, you know that Dominic Thiem beat Sasha Zverev in a 5-set match. It went as late as it could have. It was a tiebreaker in the 5th set. And there were 2 things that struck me both last night in the immediate aftermath of the event, and then this morning I watched one of actually both press conferences with Thiem and Zverev that I thought relate to our life of faith. So yesterday, after the tournament was over, after the championship had been completed, and it was hard fought, during the comments to the audience on television, Sasha Zverev broke down in tears, something I'm very familiar with, by the way. I've done it many times as I've led worship at funerals or in sermons or in prayers. And so that's the first point I want to make, is that it was a reminder of, I guess you could call it vulnerability or transparency or honesty. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of us are going to be standing in center court or the Arthur Ashe Stadium after competing in a US Open finals. What I am suggesting, though, is that I would like to suggest that we all have that same kind of honesty or transparency or vulnerability in our relationship with God. God knows who we are. God knows what we're feeling. God understands our inward being. The question is, are we willing to share it with God? And when we do, I am convinced it is good for our spiritual health. So that's the first thing. Sasha Zverev's sort of breakdown when he was talking about his parents who weren't there. I love watching that kind of honesty. And again, it's a reminder that we need to practice that same kind of honesty in our lives of faith. If nothing else, then at least with God. The second thing came from Dominic Thiem. Boy, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with these names right now. Dominic Thiem's press conference following the win. And there was something he said, and you can easily find the press conference, that struck me as having to do with the second point I want to make, which has to do with vision. Can you see, in his case, can he see himself one day winning not just a tennis championship, but one of the major tennis championships, one of the 4 Grand Slam events. And there's a sense in his answers, he's very humble, but there's a sense in his answers that there was a time that he started to realize, oh, I might actually be able to do this. And again, that has to do, I think, with vision. Now, I'm not again suggesting that if we, each of us, have the vision, one day we're going to be on center court, Arthur Ashe in Flushing Meadows, New York. I certainly know I won't. But I do think vision is important in the life of faith, in the sense of understanding who we are and who God is, and that we live in a world created by a loving God who is saying to us at every opportunity, if we will only listen, I love you. I talked a little bit about this in my sermon yesterday around baptismal identity, and the world we live in is so good at convincing us that we are something other than a beloved child of God, that I think as a church, as a community of faith, as Christ's body in the world, we need to continually remind one another of getting our vision right about this, and reminding one another that we are, in fact, a beloved child of God, a beloved son, a beloved daughter, that God loves us, that God will never leave us. And that type of approach to the world cannot help but inform how we live our lives and how we go out into the world and share that kind of message of hope and love with others. So again, I enjoyed watching the U.S. Open. It was an exciting tournament, and I just wanted to share those couple of thoughts with you in the aftermath of it. Thanks for watching, and as always, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.